Chunk Podcast number 4, I believe, is where we are at. Currently, we have Lynchy F up on the line. We have JJ here as well, and we have half of Niki Juice. He is currently playing video games while podcasting because that's appropriate.
Because I can multitask.
This man can multitask. I guarantee you halfway through this podcast, we're going to say something, and you will come in and say, What? I missed it.
Well, all right, so if someone says, hey, Niki, help, then I'll realize I messed up. Until then, no.
All right, you keep playing your Harry Potter and the Sorcerers of Mordor. All right, we'll start off. This is the first Chunk podcast that's actually going to encapsulate all 3 categories: sports, gaming, and entertainment. I know we've done a lot of podcasts that were focused on NBA playoffs or Avengers. Obviously, the recap of Avengers, which is still kicking ass in the box office. But JJ has yet to see it because he respects his fiance, and I appreciate him for that.
Must be nice. I can't say that. I'm never mind.
It just shows how committed I am.
You're a strong man. Way to go. All right, we're just going to start off the gate. I just want to gloat to everybody that our NBA playoff brackets, I'm the only one who still has the Final Four, still playing basketball. In your face. Suck it. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, I feel a little bit ashamed for doubting LeBron. I'll admit that now.
No, I don't think you should because honestly, the Pacers took them 7 games, and it for a second there, it looked like they were actually going to pull it off in the first round, knocking them out.
Yeah, and it was surprising that the Raptors played pretty freaking bad compared to how close the Pacers took them in the first round. And another thing, I was really surprised. The Celtics, kind of showed their veteran experience compared to the 76ers and managed to take that pretty handily in the first or second round as well.
And that surprised you, but it did not surprise me because if you go back to the NBA playoff preview podcast, I said that somebody was going to expose Ben Simmons. They were beatable. Plus I think that Miami series, it went straight to their head. And they came into Boston and was just like, this is going to be easy, and they got handled. And I enjoyed every second of it. So as it stands right now, it is the Cleveland Cavaliers down 0-2 to the Boston Celtics, who are still kicking ass. And at this point, I had them losing to LeBron because I couldn't bring myself to actually pick them to beat LeBron because I've been disappointed way too many times. But I got to tell you, I'm getting a little optimistic. I think there might be a chance that without Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward, that the Celtics could make it to the finals.
I think that you can never count out LeBron. I mean, he's shown before that when his back's against the wall, that he tends to show up in big moments. We saw just last game that, the first quarter he put on a show. And unfortunately, he's playing with people
Scrubs
comparable to Larry Hughes and Eric Snow.
Bro.
Like he did, back in the day.
J.R. Smith's an American legend.
So, I mean, I almost want to tell LeBron to go to, the Akron YMCA and pick up some better players.
Oh, my God.
I'm sure he'd be happy to have Childish Gambino and Keenan on his team.
Have them boys doing his laundry for him and everything, yeah.
So the big question really is, after the Warriors win it, is where do you think LeBron lands?
Oh, I'm offended. I'm offended you're writing the Celtics off. No, I'm kidding.
Is it like a Highlander type of thing where whoever beats LeBron, LeBron goes to their team and gives them his power?
He will never go to the Celtics, obviously, and we would never open it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's only – I mean, people who say he's going to go to the 76ers – I don't think that's even worth his time or theirs, honestly. I think it's redundant. But I think that Houston would probably
– the Rockets, maybe?
I think they would be able to squeeze something in after I think they inevitably lose to the Warriors. I don't think –
Right.
Yeah, I think the Warriors will beat them, and then it'll be Warriors versus whoever makes it out of the Eastern Conference Finals because I can't bring myself to say the Celtics, even though in the back of my head they are the much better team. Actually, it's not even the back of my head. It's been in 2 straight games. They're clearly the better team, but –
Right.
They still don't have the best players.
Scary Terry.
Scary Terry's a legend, man. We still have him under contract for one more season, I'm curious to see what Danny Ainge does in the offseason. I think they might approach him and just be like, look, you can either ride this out one more year and more than likely compete and possibly win a championship with this squad, but you'd have to come off the bench. Obviously, Kyrie's not coming off the bench. Or we can trade you for future assets too, and you can be a star or at least attempt to be a star on another team. So I'm curious to see where he's going to go with that.
I think the Rockets might be a decent landing spot for LeBron. Maybe he sees their record and their talent and figures like maybe he can give the Warriors a run for it. But I just don't see him going to another team like the Cavs where he just puts a team on his back, you know?
I don't see him going to the West because I think he's terrified of it. He knows that the East is an easier route, even though now the Celtics are built to succeed for years to come. I don't know. I just can't see him going out West.
All right, let's go back to this easy route crap. Why does everybody keep saying that? He's the best. He's like, take him out of the East. There's other teams that are contenders.
This year, yes.
Just because we're good.
Just because it's easy for him doesn't mean the East is complete trash.
No, I'm telling you that this year in particular, I will say that the East it has shown up. But in the last couple of years, the East has been abysmal.
Not at all. Yeah, I could see him going to the Pacers. I mean, shit, they had a similar record and pretty good shooting stats to him as a team. Maybe he just goes down a state or two and joins them. Who knows?
Who knows? I don't know where he's going to go, but we'll save it. I guarantee you. Oh my God! Well,
do you figure like maybe he's going for his old man payout and he gets one big fat contract?
He's old God. What do you mean?
Yeah, I think that's a whole separate podcast. LeBron the Decision 2.0 is going to be a podcast we're going to be doing this summer, I'm sure, because he's. I heard somewhere he hasn't notified the Cavaliers, and he said he won't be telling them or keep them in the loop. He's going to go into free agency. And then it's going to be it's setting up to be the Decision 2.0. It really is.
It's madness.
And it's so funny how a player. Granted, he's the greatest player alive right now. Well, maybe not alive. Well, playing in the NBA right now. But
alive, you can say it. Go ahead.
No. Greatest player in the NBA right now, and he's holding. It's funny how he holds Cleveland hostage. Granted, he's earned that right. But
sure,
it's weird how that whole city. They're either going to be really good or they're going to be the worst, the absolute worst.
How do you not build around him?
They tried. Hey man, he's the GM. He's the GM, and he didn't. I don't know.
I just I mean, as a sad Brooklyn Nets fan, like maybe I just don't understand. But if you have LeBron on your team, how do you not build around that dude?
The only other place that has come up before that I think that is an option for him to go to is the Knicks again with Fizdale, because he was so outspoken when the Grizzlies let him go, and he obviously genuinely cares and respects Fizdale. So I think that would be an option solely because of the connection with the coach, and then it wouldn't be Coach LeBron. It would be Coach Fizdale and assistant Coach LeBron.
LeBron going to New York probably wouldn't be too crazy.
Yeah.
I could see him wanting to
go to the Knicks. Oh my God, I'd lose my shit.
Yeah,
dude, that would be.
Nikki would finally tell people that he's. Yeah, Nikki would finally.
He would sell so many fucking jerseys.
Yeah.
Well, I'd move to New York that following year. I don't think.
Oh my God. Nikki would finally.
I love you guys, but I'm gone.
You would finally tell people that your favorite team is actually the New York Knicks for once, right?
I feel like I haven't stopped saying that. But whatever.
I like those Knickerbockers.
You never started saying it. That's the thing. But anyway, we've talked about the basketball enough. Here's what we'll do. I'll allow Lynch and JJ, if you guys want. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to talk about the latest baseball news. This is where I bow out because I have not been keeping up with baseball at all. Anything crazy going on right now? I feel like I've heard some things.
All right, Lynch can go first because mine's just really sad.
Obviously, I mean, the craziest thing is, the Robinson Cano news with him being suspended 80 games for using a diuretic. And people, don't understand why, a diuretic would be on the banned substance list. But the reason that it is because it's commonly used when trying to mask another item. Ooh. And, the diuretic could have been, it did its job if there was that other item on there. And, Miguel Cabrera said, he knows Cano didn't do anything. You know what's on the list. You sit here and you have doctors that get the list. So you get pre-approved medicines, not sitting here trying to take something that, take a chance and it might be on the list, it might not be. I don't understand as a, professional athlete why you even take the chance.
It's funny to me how 80 games sounds like a crazy lot, but in the grand scheme of things, baseball plays what, like 1,200 games a season?
160.
Oh, okay, that's half a season. Never mind.
Yeah, so it's half a season. He loses over, I believe, $11 million because you're suspended without pay.
Ooh, that's exciting.
But I mean, he's a former Golden Glove. Like, his hitting's not his only thing, but it's definitely disappointing to see somebody, have to use performance-enhancing drugs to keep up with the demands of professional baseball.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for that whole story is now, because he's suspended for something like that, if the Mariners are, able to keep the boat afloat and make it to the playoffs, he's not eligible to play on the playoff roster because he's been suspended for performance-enhancing drugs.
Ooh.
Really? Oh, he won't play enough starting games?
That's part of the rule is that he wouldn't be eligible for it. It happened a couple of years ago when the Giants were making the playoffs, and Melky Cabrera, wasn't able to be eligible because he had been suspended that year as well.
Damn.
That's interesting and definitely a tough fucking beat for the Mariners.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah,
Unless it helps.
It's funny because I've heard and I've read about the culture surrounding performance-enhancing drugs in the major leagues and other sports, and that it's just a necessary evil. But, I mean, how many players would attest to the fact that, they perform on their natural abilities versus these guys who are using performance-enhancing drugs to keep up?
Well, how many people use them and don't get caught?
Right, that's a big question. But I imagine they drug test all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
dude.
All right, but think about it. You have like a superstar that's bringing your city all this money. You're probably gonna just let that slide if you find out he's doing it.
Yeah,
But
I mean, there's that. But like, I wrestled in high school, and we went to the state sectionals, and I got drug tested right after our tournament. It's a fucking high school athlete, and I was getting drug tested. So I can only imagine how stringent it is for professional athletes.
All right, well, I mean, just to entertain one of Justin's long-time theories, hypothetically, let's pretend LeBron was on steroids or something. And I mean, they're not going to out him. They're going to be, you know what? All right, you're clearly abnormal. But you're phenomenal. You're the face. We can't just shit on your life now. We have to either let this slide or whatever. They're not going to out their moneymaker. Like, some people have pull no matter who they are. Like, if they're a high-profile athlete, they have enough pull to where if something like that happens, they could technically get away with it.
It's possible. This world is definitely chaotic enough that it's possible.
Oh, but if that news came out, Justin would never ever let anybody live that down.
Obviously, I mean, I haven't been shouting it from the rooftops, but let's be real here. LeBron is disgustingly freakish. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. It wouldn't be the end of the world to me. I would be like, I mean, come on, look at the guy. I mean, let's be real here.
I mean, but he's a fucking humongous dude. He's athletic as hell. He's been a star since he was in high school. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, the dude spends millions and millions of dollars to take care of himself. So, I mean, I kind of jumped off that bandwagon, but something happened between Cleveland and Miami where he hit second puberty, I think.
He gained some weight. What the hell?
I'm just saying.
Some people gain weight and get fat. Some people gain weight and just get ginormously hulkish. But whatever.
All right, I'm just saying. All right. And JJ, did you have one more sad baseball news? I don't know.
Yeah. I just wanted to give a shout out, a very sad shout out to the New York Mets. I've been a fan my whole life. They had their best start to a baseball season ever this year. They had a 9-game win streak, and now they're barely over 500. I don't know what's going on. We have new management for the team and old management for the player acquisitions. I could probably have a whole podcast dedicated to my thoughts on the Mets, but I think they had a great start, but we'll see how it freaking goes. They got a subpar pitching staff and subpar hitting, so I really don't think that we'll see. They could make the playoffs, but I would be really surprised. They got a lot of old injured dudes on their team.
That one's for you, Mets. Way to go. All right, we can now transition away from baseball and sports in general, and I believe we were sliding over to the gaming topics that we have today. I know we haven't encapsulated all these topics in one show before, so this is the chunk. This is the quintessential chunk by lumping the sports, the gaming, and the entertainment all together, and you're getting it. What are we going to lead off with here? I think Nintendo tweeted out something.
Yeah, so Nintendo sent out some tweets that were pretty interesting and are causing a lot of speculation. The first tweet happened on May 13th. They talked about Super Mario RPG. Are you Team Malo or Team Geno? For those of you that don't know, Super Mario RPG was a game that came out on the Super Nintendo, partnership by then Square and Nintendo. Made a really badass RPG video game that included Mario, Bowser, Princess Peach, and some really unique characters, Mallow and Geno. They've not been seen since the 90s, 1996 when that game came out. So for them to tweet about it 20 years later, it seems kind of random, and the speculation is rampant.
You think they're going to dust that old thing off and remaster it for maybe some Switch action?
Well, it was available via the Super Nintendo Classic, and it was part of their virtual console for the Wii. But it is definitely a game where the Nintendo and Square have come together to put together some games recently. I mean, who knows? Like, I'd be very happy to see a remake, and I'd be very happy to see either or both of those characters appear in the new Super Brothers Smash Brothers coming this fall.
That'd be pretty sweet too. I'm excited. I mean, I'm waiting for anything about Super Smash for the Switch and this alleged Pokemon game that's going to blow my mind if they do it, in how it's going to happen in my head. But that's a whole nother podcast too. Once we start getting more details on that. What is going on, Niki? Did you just level up in your Harry Potter of Mordor game?
I have my own soundboard. Shut up.
Oh, okay.
So the other big tweet that we saw from Nintendo was announcing that they were going to have more NES Classic editions brought to stores near you starting June 29th. So if you missed the boat and don't want to pay double the price for the NES Classic,
damn you
sounds
scalpers!
Like they're gonna be available this end of the summer.
Yeah, scalpers made some solid money back then. I remember people at my work coming up to me and being like, "Hey, do you know where you got any of these? I would love to get one of these." And people who I had no idea ever even played video games in their entire life. So the fact that this is coming back around, anybody who's scalping, I'm hoping that doesn't happen again. But they're making it sound like they're going to have enough to actually make it through the end of the year. They're not going to sell out on a limited run again, which is going to be good.
Well, and Nintendo is notorious for under supplying demand. So to see them re-release the NES Classic, I think kind of shows their commitment to kind of sharing their old collection with gamers. And that, along with the announcement that the virtual console isn't coming back in its old glory to the Nintendo Online Network, it kind of makes sense.
All right, switching topics and or consoles. Niki was playing. I remember he actually was streaming it on Twitch. The Detroit Become Human demo. They actually had a demo out on the PS network, PSN network, and he was gaming a little bit. I watched him play for a little bit, and I unfortunately haven't downloaded it and played it. So I am curious to hear his thoughts on this one. Do you think it's going to be worth it? I know it releases here like the next week or two.
Will be worth it? Yes and no. Yes to people that enjoy that kind of game. No to the casual gamer. Like people that are like big old, I'm just going to play a game that's popular now. That's probably not going to reach that level of popularity, but it does have a fan base, and they are going to love it.
So what are we talking about when you're playing the game? Like what kind of game is it?
Yeah, tell us.
It's made by the same people that made Heavy Rain back on PS3, as well as Beyond Two Souls. They have a couple other games that are older, but they didn't get any recognition. But it's basically one of those like kind of like a cinematic experience. There's not much gameplay. It's mostly making choices and watching the cinematic unfold, but it's done beautifully. With each scene and scenario, whatever, has like probably close to like 8 ways it can unfold, and it's every decision actually genuinely matters. And just in this demo alone, like I finally today just finished the 8th ending, and if you just go through one playthrough from the beginning to the end, you'll have a completely different playthrough the second time, because you might not do the same decision, or you'll try to do the same way, something else happens. Any little thing can change everything. It's beautiful.
It sounds like a choose-your-own-adventure book.
Well, if you're familiar with the Heavy Rain series or anything like that, like then you know more of what it's like. I wish I could explain it verbally, but I can't.
No, I was watching you play. If you go back on the Twitch channels, which I think I have it linked to on the chunkpod.com, you can check out his videos and you can see him playing it. You were playing it for quite a while, and it almost looks like, I mean, Arkham Batman's type like detective stuff. It was basically just all detective walking around.
There's that one feature in it, yeah. Like as far as like trying to analyze like a scene or whatever, you can pretty much use like a 3D space, and it makes more sense because you are an android and you're not Batman trying to figure this shit out. But as an android, you can render everything in real time and pretty much play back and forth in time as far as what the scene happened. And you can pick apart things like maybe at a certain point in that time, somebody was holding something important. You can analyze that and then play it forward, find out where it fell to in the room, and go pick it up and go get some more information. And like each thing raises or lowers your success rate as far as completing the mission. And then based on what you say and do, things will unfold that way as well.
So it's a robot detective game.
No, it's like
I think that pretty much sums it up, right? Layman's terms.
Like, you're an android. I mean, in the full release game, there are going to be like I think 3 main characters, but they're all androids. But it's in a futuristic world, and I guess the game's going to have like a whole bunch of heavy like segregation issues and like issues of like people accepting robots and all that other stuff, all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, pretty much in this one character scene, he's trying to save a little girl who's been abducted from a android who's gone haywire. He's lost his mind, and he's gonna jump with her on the top of a building. You gotta either talk him out of it or execute him or something. Find him one of 8 ways to get rid of it.
All right, that sounds pretty solid. No, it looks like a cool game, and I remember they released a lot of info for it like last year, and I was like, that sounds like a pretty sweet game, and they kept pushing it back, but they also bumped the release of it up, so I think it's coming out like next week. So I am curious to check that out. I think it'd be cool.
Oh wow, a June or late May release, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. JJ, do you have anything else in the gaming category for us?
The only other thing I wanted to bring up was the recent release of the Destiny 2 Warmind DLC. Well, they call it expansions, but
yeah,
the Destiny 2 launch was, I think, generally pretty disappointing to players and fans of the Destiny franchise, and so they've been really working hard to kind of update the quality of life and options for players. I played through the story mode, which, while short, was pretty good lore-wise, and they've added some endgame content that I think will make it worth it for players to return that didn't necessarily like how the launch went. I have to say, personally, I really, really like the raid content for this game. It's some of the most challenging collaborative play that you can do with your friends. And I have to say, like, I would love to play with some of you chunkers to work through the different raid layers, because it is really fun. It's really challenging. It tests the way that you have teamwork, and the loot's pretty cool. And I have to say, like, seeing how Destiny 2 launched and seeing where we are at now, 6 months later, I have a lot of hope for where Destiny 2 is going to be, and hopefully it's a little bit more accessible to both old fans and newcomers alike when we get our true expansion in September.
Yeah, no, I mean, Destiny 2, I remember when I got it, and I think we all actually got it. We went pretty hard into it, and then we did kind of drop off of it. There was a lot of other things that came out, and obviously this Fortnite craze has been hitting us pretty hard. But yeah, we should get back on that. We probably will here coming up pretty soon. So All right, we can move on to our last segment, the entertainment section, which is pretty much movies and television centric. We have this weekend, which is actually, I think today, it is coming out right now. It's Deadpool 2 coming out, and I'm definitely excited to see this. I know Niki is geeking out. This is like his boo.
We're really gonna watch that.
Yeah, so we got to get together and watch that. So what are you expecting to see this weekend in this movie? I mean, anything off the wall outside of what we've seen in the trailers, or I mean, they hiding anything, you think?
I actually think they are probably holding some things back because they've shown a lot in the trailers, but I believe there's going to be some deeper stuff going on in the movie because as far as a comic book nerd, as my last podcast revealed, there's like a lot of little small tie-ins, and I feel like they can do something amazing with the story, and they're not going to try to spoil it because they did so well with the first one. They don't have to just try to pitch everything and try to sell you on it like they did the first time. The second time, I feel like they got something more for us.
The introduction of Cable is really interesting as an X-Man who came from the future, obviously, and that'll be interesting to see how the X-Force kind of comes together with Domino and Deadpool and Cable.
The Cyclops.
Yeah, and it'll be. I'm really excited to see how it pans out. Once again, I might be a few weeks late watching this movie as I hold out to watch it with the fiance, but I think that Deadpool 2 is going to have a lot of really cool Easter eggs. Colossus is one of my favorite X-Men. He's just a badass.
Colossus is one of my favorite Marvel heroes in general, even outside of X-Men. I freaking love me some Colossus. The dude's a freaking... And getting him back, which I know he went away in the original X-Men trilogy, and he hasn't been back since, until Deadpool came back around. I love that they got a hold of him and were able to actually use him.
It's like the best thing to come out of Russia.
Yeah, well, that's true. So, no, in Cable, speaking on Cable, as a kid, I had action figures, and the biggest one that I had a Cable action figure, and it was like the size of my forearm. It was awesome. I don't know why I had it. I don't know where I even got it from, but I remember watching the X-Men cartoons as kids, and I don't even know that he had a huge role in those, but I had a Cable action figure, and it was like my favorite action figure growing up. It was so cool.
And it'll be interesting to see how Deadpool kind of fits into everything because he's had run-ins with Spider-Man, he's had run-ins with S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Not to spoiler too much, but in the recent, not so recent comics, he actually kills Agent Coulson during the Secret Empire should I say, crossover event. And he also has run-ins with Hell and marries one of the demons from there. And so there's a lot of different ways they could go with Deadpool, and I'm really interested to kind of see how they go with it.
It's super tough, I know, for them because I know Ryan Reynolds kills it and he's absolutely crushing it, but they're not tied into the real MCU, and I don't think that they ever will be. But
no,
because honestly, how would you tell me how you would incorporate Deadpool into that Marvel universe? How would he just pop up out of nowhere? and how would he?
I mean that could be done with just. No, Deadpool can easily be inserted.
I know, but to me that would take away from everything the MCU has already made. You know what I mean?
No, don't get me wrong. Yeah, he's not going anywhere near the MCU with Infinity War with where it is right now.
No.
Moving forward, anything can happen.
Yeah, I would love to see them assimilate the X-Men. I wish they would. Fox would let them go.
But that would be too much.
Let's talk about that for a second without spoiling Infinity War for me. What do you guys think about what the next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe will be?
That's the thing.
What's the next big crossover that they might go after?
I haven't seen them. I mean, maybe we haven't seen it yet, knowingly, but I haven't seen any teases or anything towards what's coming in the next. I mean, after Thanos, I don't know what's coming. So to me, I think attacking and maybe coming after Fox and trying to assimilate the X-Men somehow, I think that would be pretty awesome. Obviously not bringing over that universe. I'm talking about full-on scrap reboot like they did with Spider-Man.
No, they're definitely going to reboot. Yeah,
yes, and
some of those actors are on their way out. They're not going to do this forever. They've had their decade worth of movies. Yeah, they're done as far as this stories go. It has to be.
Yeah, I mean, I love it.
The young X-Men in, and the current comic book series X-Men Blue has the fish out of water original X-Men in the modern Marvel universe, Jean Grey and Iceman, and Angel and Cyclops and the Beast.
Angel, useless.
Oh, come on, man.
Well,
He's got wings.
He's a badass in the Blue comics, but it could be that. I was actually thinking maybe Secret Invasion, where the superhero community is kind of infiltrated by the shape-shifting aliens.
That could be down. That could work.
Could be that. I know that I don't know. I don't really know where the Inhumans are at in terms of production, but there's always the X-Men versus Inhumans arc, and the kind of the Terrigenesis cloud that kind of goes around the world, and that's really interesting.
Yeah, I think the two movies that are coming up next are Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel. I gotta think that the Captain Marvel movie is gonna bridge the gap between, like, obviously Thanos. It's gonna help Thanos, the situation there, but something in Captain Marvel might allude to what's gonna happen next past Thanos. I don't know what it is, but I mean,
I don't know if anything will, because that's gonna be set in the 90s. I don't know.
No, I know
if it's gonna reveal what's gonna work, but it can show how powerful she is at best, and or what their plan could be moving forward as far as
she was kind of a galactic hero. So it could be.
She's one of those overpowered ones, like it could calling in Superman.
Yeah, it could point to a galactic enemy, or it could be something as simple as it could be. I mean, there's that, but also there's a few other big crossovers that people speculate about. The original Sin, which talks about them killing the Watcher, which is kind of the arbiter of the Marvel universe, and then. Also, the Secret Wars, which is actually how Spider-Man originally gets the symbiote.
Yeah.
Symbiote. So we'll see, I guess, where it goes. But I mean, I'm really interested. I'm really excited to see finally Infinity War towards the end of May, and then.
My God, so late.
Yeah, he'll get there.
We'll see how it goes.
He'll get there.
It's exciting.
Yeah, definitely good times for Marvel movies. Speaking of movies that have nothing to do with Marvel, over the weekend I saw a trailer for a movie that was coming up. I didn't even know it was coming, but it's called Hotel Artemis, and I forced you guys to watch the trailer, and I actually posted the trailer up on our website, thechunkpod.com, and you can get it on the Facebook page as well. I saw this trailer, and I was like, where the hell did this movie come from? And why have I not heard of it? It's jam-packed. We're talking, it's got Jodie Foster, Sterling Brown, who I think he was in Get Out. Was he in Get Out? No, he's on the show This Is Us. Dave Bautista, who plays Drax, Jeff Goldblum. And
Charlie Day.
Yeah, Charlie Day, Zachary Quinto. There's so many people in this movie. And to me, when I watched the trailer, you guys watched it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I watched the trailer, and in the back of my head, I'm thinking, It's almost like a ripoff of Hotel Continental from John Wick, where it's like this underground building that's disguised as something else for assassins. But in this movie, it is a hospital for criminals disguised as a hotel, but it also has like a set of rules where you can't commit crimes on their premises, and when they do, there's like an uprising. It looks pretty wild.
I'm definitely down to see that, but I mean, I just had no idea from the trailer.
It's hard to say. Like, it strikes me as I'm very skeptical of trailers nowadays, and I mean, you saw the trailer for The Expendables with all those stars.
Yeah.
So who knows if it'll be cheesy like that, where it's like campy cameos by former action heroes, or if it actually has a cohesive story that ends up being funny and doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah, no, that's going to be the true test, is because you can jam all the actors you want into it. It's a matter of whether or not your story is compelling. But to me, John Wick didn't delve into that world deep enough. I loved it. The concept is fantastic, and I think it's awesome. So I'm going to go see it, obviously. But I have been burned by a really good trailer before. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. So I will be curious to check this one out. And you can check out the trailer right now on our website, thechunkpod.com. Check it out, see what we're talking about. And finally, to wrap up entertainment, I just saw this right before the podcast started, but Daredevil fans on Netflix, Season 3 is going to be coming out. They haven't actually set a date for it yet, but I'm assuming by the end of this year, early next year, Season 3 Daredevil. But I did find out that they cast a guy a couple months back and they didn't say what he was for, like what role he was going to be playing. I did just find out the dude is going to be playing Bullseye alongside Kingpin. They're bringing Kingpin back as the primary villain for season 3, so it'll be Kingpin and Bullseye taking on the Daredevil. I'm really excited to see that.
I love Kingpin.
Yeah, it's interesting what they've done with him recently in the comics, where he becomes the mayor of New York City after the events of Secret Empire. But Bullseye, it's kind of a bold choice, right? Because they had the kind of Daredevil flop movie with Ben Affleck so many years ago with Bullseye, and to bring him back for the TV show, they must have a great idea for him.
Yeah, for sure. And it's easy to make Bullseye look stupid. You know what I mean? Like it could look awful. You know what I mean? And you basically just don't dress him up in that cheesy costume. Then I think we'll be fine. I think that's really all you have to do. Don't put a bullseye on his actual head, I think, right?
Yeah,
Well, it could work.
It's interesting because, what does Daredevil have to lose? Who does Bullseye really target that makes Daredevil feel threatened?
Yeah.
And, Daredevil has been such kind of like a beat-em-up type of hero. How does he face a villain that focuses on kind of espionage, striking people from afar with whatever object he feels will be useful to him?
Yeah, I'm thinking they battle back and forth for the entire season, and then the Punisher just comes out of nowhere and kills him. You got a gun? So do I. Yeah, he just lays him out. The actor is Wilson Bethel, by the way. I don't know if anybody recognizes him, but Wilson Bethel signed on Daredevil season 3 too, and he will be playing Bullseye. According to a lot of these sources that I'm finding, it looks like they leaked it in a podcast. And there's a dude on Reddit who has like the inside scoop. I think he actually might even be on set for some of the filming, and he's coming back and like leaking some stuff. So a lot of stuff floating around the internet. So that's going to be interesting. I'm definitely ready for some more Daredevil. I love that.
I have to say the Marvel has found a lot of success with its TV shows, and where the Avengers are kind of fighting galactic enemies, the Defenders are kind of here on Earth fighting the day-to-day bad guys. So
yeah,
I can definitely see Bullseye and the Kingpin as worthy adversaries for Daredevil and his colleagues, and I'll be interested to see how that kind of pans out on the TV.
For sure. It's going to be awesome. And I think that should pretty much wrap it up. That's what we came here prepared with. And look at that. We kept it right around 40 minutes. Not too shabby. If you're still listening, thank you. You can check us out on thechunkpod.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. You can get us anywhere. Just search for The Chunk Pod. And you can get our personal accounts on the website if you want to do all that stuff as well. Thanks for stopping by, guys. I know Lynch probably fell asleep halfway through this. He's still...
He's gone.
He gone. But JJ, Niki, Lynch, thanks for stopping by, and we'll get back together soon, I'm sure.
Cheers.
Always.
Take it easy.
Oh, there he is. My God.